What is going on, everybody? Anon here, and just sitting in the pool. It is hot as hell in the Northeast here. But I had a bunch of people in Discord asking me, how am I going to play these reprints? And I just want to put out this video really just to clarify a couple things. So, first of all, we know Journey Together booster boxes are coming. I already have a couple allocations. They're going to be the non enhanced. So, there is theoretically a play because the set does not rotate out until April of 2028. There is potentially a play on the box topper in the enhanced version. And quite honestly, the fact that these are still selling for $300, if you have them, there's opportunity. Now, the unfortunate part about this, there's not a whole lot of liquidity, which is a common theme with specifically Pokemon as price goes up. Now, Destined Rivals. Let's talk booster boxes first. So booster boxes, again, I see these probably getting down in the 350 range. We may see 325 to be determined. There's a decent amount of these, but obviously far more ETBs. ETBs are going to take an absolute pounding just based on how much is going through big box stores. Magnitudes more than what we saw for Twilight Masqueraded Surging Sparks. By the way, if you guys don't recall, last year it was the exact same time when we got Surging Sparks and Twilight Masquerade. It was early August, and they didn't recover until February. We'll go through those charts in a little bit because I want to talk through a couple different items here. I want to show you what to really expect with Pokemon, what we see with Magic, and quite honestly, the graphs are identical across both games in both reprints. This is where the opportunity lies. The difference being the Pokemon reprints are magnitudes bigger than what Magic the Gathering ones are, and the period of dead money or just holding product without appreciation is extended for that reason. So, moving on, ETBs, and this is the big one that I want to talk about. And even I bought a couple hundred of these at 140, 150 after Walmart started dumping because, quite honestly, I had nothing. I had sold on my Destined Rivals a long time ago. You know, I'm going to talk my book right now, and when I said that they're going to get reprinted and they're overpriced, I sold everything. Sold every single item. I don't even have a single pack of this. I even sold the Salamence and Reshiram cases that I had that have Destined Rivals and Surging Sparks in them. So we are way too early to buy Destined Rivals ETBs. What's going to happen here? Because even last week, and I believe it was the 7th week in a row, Walmart dropped ETBs again. The first couple weeks, I think it was over 90,000. The next 2 or 3 weeks, it was 50,000. And then the last 2 weeks, it's been 30,000 plus. I'm sure we're going to get some again this week. So there's so much product going to botters. The cash outs have gone from 150 to 140 to 95 to 90. I know there's going to be 1 or 2 people that comment, well, I was able to sell for 100. The problem being when Walmart is selling for $69 and you don't get tax exemption when you're running your bot accounts because you're running a bunch of them. It just doesn't work that way. So you're paying sales tax in the state you're in. So you're probably into these things for somewhere in the $72 to $73 range. So the good news is that does create a little bit of a floor. The bad news is as the price gets pushed down to 90 and then we get them through distro, we have a lot of these botters who are not the sharpest tools in the shed. They're so used to printing money. When somebody says, well, I can't pay 90, I need $80, their response is, well, I paid 72. So they hold back because they're stupid and they're greedy. And then the bottom falls out. Now you have 30th anniversary, which is probably going to start dropping in the next week or two. And you're going to have these botters that have all this product because they thought they struck gold the last 7 weeks that they can't move because they were stupid and greedy. They don't pay attention to the market because that's not what they do. So they're going to desperately try to clear their debt, their liabilities. Their debt, their liabilities, and just to make sure that they have room for 30th anniversary. So when that happens, they're going to have to dump their product, and it's going to become a massive, massive problem. The bottom is going to fall out of the market because, quite honestly, a lot of the stuff is going to go to no bid. So now you have the botters. They're going to get their face ripped off. They're going to have all these issues, all these challenges with lack of liquidity, and people are going to run out. There's going to be a point in time when Redbeard calls up Alex and says, "Hey, bud, I got Destined Rivals," and Alex is going to say, "No, I'm cool. I don't need to buy any more from you." Um, it's going to happen. I have locals who call up all the time and they're like, "Hey, will you give me 140? Will you give me 130?" And I'm like, "No, man, I'm going to get thousands of ETBs from distribution. I don't need any excess supply. It is what it is." So this is what's going to cause a death spiral in the price. Again, I doubt we get much below 80, but again, there are at least a handful of distributors who are going to charge in the 30s. So, you know, it could be a little bit weaker than what we thought. But I think ultimately the floor is going to be right around 80. Now the good news is you do not have to buy now. You don't have to buy next week or next month. It's certainly too early to buy right now at 130. So as we get into Twilight Masquerade, we saw the big dump happened in October. So here you really have September, $70, August, September, October, November, December. So we were $70 through March. Actually, through the end of March, we were in the 70s. So you're talking 8 months, 8 months of the product being completely dead money. I would anticipate the same thing with Destined Rivals here. Only again, we're talking a million plus ETBs coming into the market, if not more. That is much more than we got for Surging Sparks and for Twilight Masquerade. Again, here's Surging Sparks. You drop the same time. You're going all the way here to March. Well, February, in March, it started to push up into the 80s. But again, you're talking 7 months. 7 months of absolutely dead money. So again, you do not have to buy when the price hits 80. When you're talking time value money here, you can wait 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And even if you pay 90 versus 80, now you know that the downside risk is far more diminished and you're only worried about the upside. And the smart folks that know how this market works, you're not going to fall for the, "Hey, it's 130 on TCG player. I'll sell you now for 115. You got Brian Ma on Facebook trying to grift the shit out of people who aren't educated and who don't follow what's coming. And that dude has a bell on his neck. He's always talking his book, right? Every day it's a new sale for a new random reason because he's holding a lot of bags and he needs to clear the deck for 30th anniversary as well. So moving on, I do want to talk about this because what I anticipate is 9 months from now, the prices are probably going to be back at $100. And then once we rotate out, these are 2, 3, 400 ETBs, probably $200-$300 ETBs by the end of 2028, provided we don't get hammered again next year with another reprint. And ultimately, this is the best standard set. It's Scarlet Violet. I don't think anybody's going to debate that. So even though there's a lot of this, it is going to get ripped, especially the cheaper the boxes get, the higher the sell-through and demand is going to be. So this is an opportunity, probably the best opportunity in the last 2 years, I would say, to buy the highest quality product at the lowest price. So don't let it pass you by, but it is too early. So moving to Magic, because I want to talk about this. This happens in Magic all the time. And I like Magic much better than I like Pokemon because the reprints are predictable. You can see them coming a mile away. They're always projected. It's just not a whole lot of people talk about them. So Final Fantasy, we all knew that this reprint was coming in November of 2025. It was on the schedule. All the distributors knew it. The entire world knew it. People kept buying it because players play the game. Unlike Pokemon, where the players, as a percentage of total, it's far less than Magic. So we went down here, and again, December, you hit the absolute bottom of the bottom. And 3 months, we stepped up a little bit to 170. And then March, another 3 months, and now we're at 240. So again, you're basically looking at, let's see, October of last year to August of this year. So 10 months round trip. You buy at the bottom. You don't have to buy immediately, but you can wait for things to hit the bottom, bounce a little bit, and turn around, and you can still acquire a lot of it. Now, from my perspective, I need to buy pallets of this when it's still in stock at distribution. And quite honestly, when it runs out at Watsy at distribution, it doesn't bounce right away. We'll get into an example of that here. Bloomburrow, Bloomborough Play, same thing. Ran straight up when supply dried up. We got a reprint here. So basically January through May. So call it 4.5 months. Just dead money. And now we've zipped back up because the demand is good and the supply has fallen like a rock. Bloomborough Commander decks. These things were getting sold for $100 on Forged in Fire without the sample packs, without the cardboard, I believe. You could have bought the actual decks, which now have an expected value of well over $200 right around here. Distributors had so much of this shit they were discounting to $104, $105 per box. That was their offer. You could negotiate them down from there. So these things were absolutely dead money. Now, TCG player, you're still in the 120s, high teens. Standard price for these was right around 110. But this is the second time they reprinted these. So you went from over 200 right here. October, you're going to May. So 5-7 months. Now all of a sudden you zip straight up because the supply, you got 96 on the market. Now you're $232. The movie is the same in all these. Here's Tarkir Commander. Runs up, gets reprinted, dead money for a while. Everything resets and goes straight up. This is the same graph as what we're going to see with Destined Rivals. Final Fantasy Commander, only Destined Rivals is going to take longer because there's so much more coming to market. So if there are 1 million ETBs of Destined Rivals, for this, for example, Bloomborough Play boxes, this last reprint was like 50 to 75,000 boxes. Magnitudes more. Now, again, there's more people putting them away. There's way more investors. There's the rip and ship in Magic is non-existent compared to Pokemon. So there is a lot more product churning, but there's magnitudes more, and that's why it's going to take longer to move. Final Fantasy were $185 for collectors. When these go out of print, or when they run out at Wizards of the Coast, this is going to zoom. This is one of the best put together Commander displays of all time. They're still available, open order at WotC. Now, some distributors don't have them, but there are distributors that have tens of thousands of these that are in transit, that are coming in. WotC's been closed for the last 2 to 3 weeks due to the end of the quarter earnings. It's too early on these, but it's getting close. Moving on. Here's another one. This is Foundation's Play. Same thing, 40, 50, 60,000 boxes. In February, went from 190 straight down because all these broke-ass Timmy stores get their allocation. They panic and they sell them. Things dried up, and now all of a sudden we're pushed back up to 160. There's 131 of these on the market, 220 selling in 30 days. So you know what happens. 6 weeks from now, the boxes are going to be somewhere in the 190s, probably $200, and they're off to the races. This is why Magic is a better play than Pokemon, because there are so many more opportunities. Foundation's Jumpstart. This is now out of stock at WotC. It's been out of stock for about a month plus. PhD has a few. Southern has a few. Everybody else is sold out. These were $76.50. This collective cube dude is losing his ass on these. But the market hasn't picked up on the fact that the expected value is $105, $110. It's only going up, but people keep dumping these because they don't know they're out of stock. This BDMCDC guy, this dude races to zero and loses money on almost every sale I've ever seen him list at. But again, last 3 months, you're up 7%. These boxes are going to be $150 by the end of the year, and nobody knows it because nobody's paying attention. This is why buying Magic product and holding it for price appreciation has been infinitely better than Pokemon for the last 18 months because Pokemon's been so expensive. This Destined Rivals reprint, this is giving every single person in this country, wherever you are, an infinite opportunity to buy this stuff super cheap. You're probably never going to have an opportunity to get in cheaper than what it will be in 6 months or in 6 weeks. And then you have probably 2 to 3 months to buy it in the 80s, maybe a little bit longer. So pay attention. You know, again, if you're buying this, say you're buying this at $90, you are still 3x to get back to the all-time high, which it will get to. And once this dries up in the middle of 2028, or in the middle of 2027, you're that much closer to rotation out. So For me, the player of the ETBs, I know a lot of folks like booster boxes better. When items get over $500, the liquidity just comes to a screeching halt. Me as a store who wants to buy stuff and sell it at a profit, something like this where I have to hold it for a moderate period of time. I like the smaller bite. A, it's easier to resell. B, you can buy more of them, and because there's obviously more supply in the market. And C, your entry point and your price appreciation as a percentage of the total is far easier to double your money than what it's going to be at a $350 booster box. For me to triple my money at $80, $90 for Destined Rivals ETB, that box has already been there. That price point is already printed in the market. There are no prints of $700 booster boxes for a simple double with Destined booster boxes. That's just straight math. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, hoping to sock away a couple thousand of these ETBs. Now, obviously, storage is an issue. I'm sure people are going to mention that storage of ETBs takes up much more space than what booster boxes do. Everybody has their own situation. But again, in my opinion, ETBs are a superior purchase at this point in time in the market. When we got the Surging Sparks reprint, Surging Sparks booster boxes went down to $200. They're sitting right around $300 last time I checked, so they're up 50% from there. But the ETBs at 70 are over. Oh my God, I just had them up and I didn't look. They were at 70 at the high here. We were pushing 135, so almost a 2x here, but only 50% on the booster boxes. So that's what I'm doing. You guys do you. It is what it is. But it is too early to start buying Destined. The product has not hit the market. The overall market hasn't panicked. They don't know what's coming. It is such a small group of folks in the grand scheme of things that knows what's coming. And all the buyers are still fat, dumb, and happy from printing money for last year. They don't know the desperate scenario they're about to be in if they hold the product too long and things go to no bid. So anyway, guys, I'll do the distribution video tonight, but I had some time here sitting at the pool watching my kid, one of my kids, and figure what the hell. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and we'll talk to you guys tonight.